Welcome to Beyond Sport with Fiona Stewart. In this podcast, I chat to athletes, coaches, and industry professionals about their sporting journey and the lessons they've learned along the way. Guests range from Olympians to the everyday lover of sport, but the message stays the same. There is so much more to sport than what meets the eye. Make sure you hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts or follow on Spotify so you don't miss the release of each new episode. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond Sport with Fiona Stewart. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome to part 2 of my chat with Sarah Blackmore, gymnast, gymnastics coach, and ninja warrior. If you haven't listened to part 1, released last week, hit pause now and go back and listen to it. In this episode, Sarah shares the wonderful benefits sport has given her, as well as the lessons she's learnt along the way. We also gained some insight into her incredible charity events and fundraising efforts. Sarah's energy and passion left me feeling so lit up, so I hope after listening to this chat, you feel as full as I did. Speaking of all the benefits, could you run us through some of the ones that have transferred over to, your life as an adult now?
Yeah. So spatial awareness for me is a massive thing. Obviously spatial awareness you learn when you're kind of rotating on different axes and you're trying different skills and things, and you start to become aware of your surroundings at all times. And that for me is something that I've seen through driving in particular. When I've been in cars with other people and they don't have this a similar kind of background to me, I notice that they miss little things that are happening everywhere.
That's really funny that you say that, because I found that when I started to drive, because swimmers obviously stay on either side of their lane, and the driving instructor said to me she stays in a straight line when she's driving. Where'd that come from? Well, swimming, because you keep to the left. What are you talking about? Yeah. That's funny that you said that one. No one else has said that.
Yeah. So that one is a massive one, because I personally, and I've seen it with Ashlyn and any of my other gymnast friends, have seen them looking at other cars and going what are you doing? Instead of it getting to the point where it's happening
and then reacting,
and then they have to deal with it. They're looking at it going, this person could do this. Or they look like they're going to try and merge into my lane. What is happening? Maybe I'll slow down, maybe I'll speed up, maybe I'll move over. And then they end up merging into that lane anyway. And then I've really noticed it with any of my friends that aren't ex-gymnasts, because they don't do that. And it scares the hell out of me. Because I'm a total overthinker. I think of every single situation and go, why is this happening?
Or you're that car looks a bit funny. I think they're going to do this, or this. So I'm going to fix it by just remove myself from the situation.
Exactly. And being able to kind of acknowledge that puts you in a safer position straight away.
Yeah. And
I think that's probably my biggest thing, is the spatial awareness, because I think that is just your everyday life. You walk down the street, you're acknowledging everything that's happening around you, and you're aware that this person over to your right, they look really creepy.
Yeah, but I have a question for you, because I say that this is one of the benefits that I have as well. But how are you so accident prone? Because I still walk into walls and stuff.
Oh my God, man, I have no idea. I literally have bruises all over me.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they came from. I have no idea.
So we're sitting here going, spatial awareness, our sport taught us this, but we still have bruises and we're accident prone.
This is it. And I think it's when I'm not concentrating on anything and my brain's off. My ADHD brain is thinking about something that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And that's when it happens. When I did my ankle, I stepped down off a freaking box, a 30 centimeter box, and needed a full ankle reconstruction.
Oh gosh.
How insane is that? Oh,
I've got one better for you. I broke my elbow going to the toilet.
Did you slip on water or something?
I slipped on the ground. It wasn't particularly wet, but I just
You just slipped.
I just slipped.
You crack up. That's wicked. How awesome is that?
Yeah. But anyway, we're sitting here preaching spatial awareness.
I know. Look at us go. We rock. But in the gym, I've broken most of my toes by walking into things.
Yeah.
But the same things though.
Every time.
different things. They're in the same spot, and I still walk around the corner and walk into them. I don't understand. It's crazy.
I feel yeah with that one. Like I have a bruise in the same spot in my hip almost like every third week because I've walked into a corner of a table.
I found this bruise. It's like under here. It's enormous. It's like this big, and I don't know where it came from.
Oh dear.
Like I can't even think of like what obstacle did I do that would be related to. There's nothing.
No, like it's just happened.
Yeah.
Well, other than our fantastic spatial awareness, is there anything else that's transferred over?
I think a lot of the process, like understanding process and progression. I mean, you have to be able to do a forward roll before you can do a handstand, before you can do a front salt. So you understand that everything has a process, and that you don't just, I mean, regardless of the fact that I believed I would just win, you know deep down that you have to work for things.
Yeah.
And that if you want a job later in life, you have to write a resume, you have to attend those interviews in order for you to get that job. Or there's those other steps in there of I have to go to university for a certain degree for whatever career path I want to work in. And you understand that there's a process. And I think that is something that a lot of kids, especially today, are missing, that process, because things are just handed to them.
And then they expect.
They're like,
oh, why hasn't this happened? I'm like, well, because you didn't do anything towards it happening.
Yeah. Why is my hair so dirty? Because I didn't wash it.
Yes.
Like, oh, my teeth are going yellow because you didn't brush them.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that in gymnastics you learn that a lot, and obviously a lot of competitive sports you get that too. And I think that is one that we've learned as well.
Yeah, and I think it makes I was saying to my partner before, like people who are at a certain level of sport or they dedicate a certain amount of their time towards sport, they have these character traits that most people have, and you can see it. And like I think it does transfer over to their professional lives or their adult lives and things like that.
Absolutely. And they just see like the benefit for actually being active.
Yeah.
They see that benefit outside of the physical health. And it just like you see it. You see those athletes walking into a regular gym and them just like working their butts off and still walking out with a smile on their face. You just see it. And then you see the people who have never worked out a day in their life coming in like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I hate everything.
Yeah. And even like today, like I was in a not so great mood. I was a bit tired. I was a bit grumpy.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. But I went for a walk and completely reset. And I knew that's what I needed. And so having that knowledge of, oh, I'm not in a great mood. Oh, I'll just go for a walk. Like I was just going to go have a nap, but I was like, I'll go for a walk and then I'll nap and I'll feel better.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to kind of acknowledge those steps that you need to do in order to accomplish something. Like you wouldn't have just known straight away to do that. This has been practice of, I know that a walk is going to help me, and I know that sleep is going to help me. Like I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. So you are now in a position to be like, okay, this is what I need to put into place in order for me to be okay.
And, it's not just one or the other. Like it was, no, I need to do it in this order and this is how it's going to go down. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's me too. I need to do that with everything. Yeah.
Same. Well, is there like a lesson that you've learned along the way that stands out that you want to share?
Oh dear, a lesson. I think like just giving it a try.
Yeah.
Just instead of like letting all of those little negative bugs inside your brain speak over the top of the thing that you actually want to do, like just give it a shot, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're not going to be good at it, but then you can work for it.
And you can get better at it.
And like, you're not in any worse situation than what you're already in. Just give it a shot. See what happens. If it's going to be good, it's going to be good. If it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad.
Yes.
And like 99% of the people aren't sitting there judging you.
Yeah. Or like they're not thinking what you're thinking.
Exactly. And the people that are judging you are idiots anyway, so you don't want them in your life.
Yeah, their opinion isn't valid. It
Is
doesn't like,
irrelevant.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, that's interesting because that's actually like sport did teach me kind of that kind of concept. And then that's exactly what I thought when I started this podcast. I was like, oh, I don't know how to, I don't know what to do. And then I was thinking, you know what? Like, so what if it fails after 5 episodes?
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
do it.
Exactly. You're not going to be in a position where you're worse off.
No.
Like,
And
you might have spent money on a microphone, or you might have spent money on something, but at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you can just sell those accessories, I like to call them. You can just sell them because there's someone else out there who needs that.
Yeah. And definitely you look back and you're like, oh, sometimes you think about all the things that you could have done if you didn't hold yourself back. And I think that's the thing with so many people is they're holding themselves back because they're not just giving it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And they really hold on to that idea that if they do fail, the whole world is going to be against them. And in reality, even if they do talk about it, it's only going to last a week.
Yeah. Just dust yourself off, get onto it. Yeah.
They'll get over it. They will. And when they do get over it and you're standing on the other side with a smile, like, you're still better off than them.
Yeah. Or you're better off than where you were from when you started.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that lesson. That's a good one.
Thanks.
Now, other than your coaching, like you've done a lot of amazing things and you've spoken about, you know, what you're doing with Gymnastics Australia and then the international, is it Federation of Gymnastics? What do you call it again?
The Federation of International Gymnastics.
Oh, I got the words in there. They were just in the wrong order.
Yeah, no. And look, I said it wrong as well. I think it's like actually written in French. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
And, you know, your work to change the sport, but you've also done something else, a fundraiser called Kids Helping Kids.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've actually done a fair few fundraisers in my time. So I actually started doing fundraisers after one of my best friends passed away. So I did a fundraiser for Beyond Blue.
Mm-hmm.
So we raised over $10,000 for Beyond Blue in 2015,
wow.
2016. Yeah. And then that was kind of like the start of my love for doing charity events and fundraisers and things like that. So I then moved on to doing Kids Helping Kids with Peninsula Gymnastics, where we had kind of like set up this idea that each year we would do a fundraiser for the Good Friday Appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that if we used the wording Kids Helping Kids, it meant that it was coming from those kids instead of from us.
Yeah.
So we had done that one for the Good Friday Appeal. And then we also used to do like Christmas drives and things like that, where we would have whether they would bring in certain things. Like we did one year for, I think it was for single mums on the peninsula, and they were accepting donations of like school accessories, so like pens, pencils, books, things like that. And we kind of just created a little like pretend Christmas tree where the kids would come in and put in like a pencil case or whatever it would be, and then we would donate that across. So it kind of like gave the kids a purpose,
mm-hmm.
a reason other than being at the gym. They had that community environment and they understood the gift of giving and understanding exactly how much they can impact.
Yeah.
So we'd done the Good Friday Appeal for a few years. They didn't get to do it last year because of COVID. So, and I don't think they got to do it again this year because of COVID again.
We were locked down near Easter, weren't we?
Yeah, because the restrictions are all over the place. And when you're trying to do a fundraiser event, it makes it really tricky to be together as a community, but with social distancing and a certain amount of numbers and all of that stuff. So we've done that. And then I also I still have a business based around mental health still, where I have photo booths that we hire out, and then there's a percentage of that goes to Headspace in Frankston.
Oh, awesome.
So just to try and help fund some of their programs over there. Obviously, again, with COVID, we haven't been able to do a lot of that stuff because people aren't really hiring photo booths at the moment.
The parties aren't going ahead for the photo booth. Yes,
exactly. So I think we've donated over 4 or 5 grand to them as well. And then Knox Headspace too. We've done a couple of fundraisers for them to try and help boost their program. So I ended up like looking at it as a full picture. And I think it's like close to 30 grand that we've donated to charities in the last 5 years.
But that's such a beautiful thing that, you know, you've been able to use, especially like with the gymnastics background, like you're leveraging that sport community and turning it into something good for the greater community.
Yeah. And I think it's really powerful as well to be in a position where you can give.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people in the world that take, and I think I will never be one of those people, but I think we need to promote the giving more and showing that it's not hard for us to do that. Like, the first charity event I did, I don't know how I did it. Like, I look back at it now and I'm like, that's insane. Yeah. Like, we had 178 people for a gala dinner ball.
Oh my gosh.
3-course meal. Like, everyone had gift bags that were like valued at $200 per gift bag. Like, it was just insane. And I was only like 19 or 20.
Wow.
And I organized this entire big thing. And I look back at it now and I'm like, you're a psycho.
How did you put that together?
Like, I look at like the lower tone events now and I'm like, oh, I'm losing my mind doing this. How did I achieve stability during that one?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so much like purpose and worth in giving to others who don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like particularly with Headspace and the Good Friday Appeal and those kind of organizations, you really see where that money goes. And I think that is like the main reason that I do like to give to those organizations, is like you actually see where the money goes and you see what it does and how it helps kids or how it helps troubled youth or whatever it might be. You see it go into those programs to help particular people. So yeah, actually on that note, we ended up starting a Paul Lyons Foundation. So he was a good friend of ours. He's from the ninja community as well. He had a gym in Essendon, a ninja gym. So he was an Olympian, actually. He did, I don't even know what the martial art is called. Such a bad friend. But he did this martial art and he was an Olympian, and he had his own gym, and not last year, the year before, he passed away very suddenly in his sleep. So his heart just stopped working. And we ended up creating a Paul Lyons Foundation, which basically he was very passionate about getting kids with disabilities and kids that were on the spectrum and things like that involved in sport. So we kind of created this foundation that people could donate to, or we would run events and there would be money that would go into it. And we would then fund for kids with disabilities and ASD and whatever else kind of struggles that they would have, fund them to go into ninja programs. And we actually just got our first 3 kids into one, and we're so excited about it. It was the best day.
Oh, that's amazing. Where can we find information for that? Like, for anyone listening who does want to help out?
Yeah, so you can just go to ninja.org.au and in there'll be a tab that will say the Paul Lyons Foundation, and it will have all the information on if you want to donate or if you want to run an event or anything like that. We do have a guy at the moment who's doing, it's called the Crispy Challenge. So he is doing like workouts, and each amount of money that is donated, I think it might be 100, maybe 200. Each amount that is donated, he adds weight to his training.
Oh, cool.
So he's got a weight vest on, and then the amount that keeps getting donated, he adds like an extra kilo or whatever it might be. And he said that he's going to stop at an extra 30 kilos. So he pretty much has funded those 3 kids like by himself from him doing this fundraiser. So it's been really cool, and to see that there is a family out there. So that the 3 boys are all from the same family, and they all have they're all on the spectrum, and they have cardiac health concerns as well. So for us to get them into a program that they actually enjoy being at was just like, it was crazy.
Gosh, that's so amazing. And like, I guess in my job, I get to see kids being involved in swimming lessons.
Yeah.
And that's kids on all walks of life, and the difference that that 1/2 an hour can make to a child's life is so huge. So the fact that you've created a foundation for, kids to be involved in Ninja Warrior, and like that's probably the perfect sport for kids on the spectrum.
Absolutely, absolutely, because there's so much happening, and Paul was very passionate about making his gym a very inclusive environment. Like, he would turn the music down and have it like very low toned, and he would have it where parents were allowed to assist in things and come into the class, and it was very beautiful and very passionate. It was something he was very passionate about. So we were kind of in a position where we wanted to continue to promote that and make sure that his legacy still continued in a really positive way. And that was kind of what we created. And his wife, Danny, she was involved in the entire process, and she just was so happy to hear that we had been in a position where we wanted to promote his positive look on life and on inclusivity, and how we could kind of implement it across the country. So we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I hope, for anyone listening that does want to, be part of it, that they'll reach out and get in contact and get more kids into it.
Yeah, it's honestly like, it's so powerful. And just to see, because like I understand, I have a cousin with Down syndrome, so I understand how tricky it can be to kind of find the right program or the right organization to be inclusive and to still offer the right services, to make sure, like Karina, for example, has super hyperextended joints as well. So she dislocates her knee more than I blink my eyes. Like she just needs an environment that's still safe for her, but also can include her and make her feel like it's not, like she's not different, like she does with every other aspect of her life.
Yeah.
So when we started to kind of look at that and see that those opportunities were going to become something for everyone, was just, it was really exciting.
Yeah, and it's so special that they can now, everyone can just experience the benefits that sport has to provide. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from.
No,
you deserve to experience the benefits that sport has.
Absolutely. And I'll just keep implementing that.
Well, in saying that, like, you have just finished filming is it season 5?
Yes.
And you're not allowed to say anything until it airs, and we don't know when it's airing. But I want to know, did you have fun?
Yes, I did. It was, after last year where we were just like locked down the entire year, we didn't get to spend a lot of time with our ninja community. So to just be around our mates was just incredible. And just be around, like, even the crew, like we're so close with the crew and all the producers and stuff. So it just was really nice to be around them without having to wear masks. But we even had a friend that flew back, like he lives in London now, and he flew back so he could compete. So he did his 14 days quarantine and then competed and then flew back. It was just like, even just to see him was just incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I know we can't discuss it too much, but I'm very excited to watch it on TV, and just the wholesome content that we were talking about before.
Yeah, it's a very exciting season. We spent a lot of time there, so got up there 2 weeks before we had to start filming because Melbourne went into lockdown. So we had to just like escape Melbourne and go over there straight away. Like pretty much within an hour of the announcement, we had phone calls from the producers going, "Can you get on a flight in an hour?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insane. But Ash and I ended up driving up there. So we got to see a lot of New South, which we haven't done before. And it was a really cool experience. And then, on top of that, we got to film some stuff.
Some cool obstacles that you can't talk about.
Cool
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I can't wait to watch it. And in saying that, where do you see, I know you're working towards the future of gymnastics and, the future, even in the ninja community, but where do you see the future of sport?
I see that we have, particularly our generation, we are very strong, and we can see that there are flaws in a lot of the systems. So I think that there is a big positive change that's going to be coming from sports. I wasn't involved a lot in other sports growing up, so I can't speak on behalf of that, but in particular, gymnastics, I think there's a big shift that's coming, and it's exciting and it's scary.
Yeah. But do you reckon it's scary because, And I don't mean to, like, there's people in all generations that are going to work towards this shift, but do you reckon it's scary because the real drivers of these changes are, I guess, millennials? Like, it's our
Yes.
generation.
Absolutely. And I think that we are still not respected enough from our parents' generation, and that we are still seen as kids, which is fine. It's totally fine. But there are a lot of people that have worked really hard to understand the things that they know. And I think that they're owed a little bit of respect, in the sense that they've dedicated the last whatever it might be to this journey.
Yeah.
And that we should listen. We at least owe them the listening.
Yeah. And like, maybe it's because they didn't grow up with internet at their fingertips, but you know, they might probably look at our age and go, oh, they don't know enough. They haven't been working in this space long enough. And you're like, but mate, I've been researching this since I was 12.
Exactly. I've been doing Zooms with people on the other side of the world so I can learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have those things there. You had to wait for that person to come to your country to be able to learn. We have this at our fingertips. We can book into online webinars overnight and have that knowledge in our hands. And I think that there is a lot of, and I respect it as well, because at the end of the day, each generation that comes through is going to know more.
Yeah.
100%. They're going to know more. And I think that we, particularly like our generation, need to respect that a lot of the older generations, like you said, didn't have those things, but also they struggle with the idea of kind of letting go, and they struggle with in particular, mental health. They didn't grow up with that. So they don't understand a lot of that aspect of it. And they haven't been taught it in school. They haven't been taught it through social media. They haven't been taught any of that stuff that looks at the psychological side of things. And coaches can have all of this physical coaching things that are in place that work, but there's a whole new aspect that's just been thrown in that they have no idea about because they weren't taught about it. It's in our courses now. We have psychological coaching in all of our coaching accreditations now.
Yeah.
That wasn't implemented for them.
Even like in degrees, like I had multiple units in either sports psych or human behavior or human performance psych, like all that kind of stuff. Like that was in my degree as much as marketing was.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important. And that's an aspect that they have missed.
Yeah.
Unless they've gone back and done those degrees again.
And it's through no fault of their own.
Exactly. So I think that is like a whole aspect as well. And look, to be honest, if I had someone like show up at my gym and they were 10 years younger than me and I didn't know them from a bar of soap, I would probably be like, but how do you know better than me?
Yeah.
Like, it is so normal to question people when they're trying to implement change, 100%. And if they can't answer why, they shouldn't be doing it. If they can answer why, then you let them speak.
or listen to what they have to say. Yeah.
Exactly.
And obviously we're saying it a bit general in terms of the older generations. Like there's been some huge game changers. I know recently, a few episodes back, I interviewed Janice Crosswhite, who has an Order of Australia medal for women's participation in sport.
Yeah. How incredible.
And like she's been doing this, but she started when she was young. She, started implementing all of these things like back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. And you just look at that and you're like, that's what I want to do. And maybe not at that scale, but like make a change.
That's it. And I think like every single person has so much change to offer the world. We just need to step outside of our comfort zone. Like if we always stay in our comfort zone, we're never going to grow.
100%. And it doesn't even have to be as big as you've changed the whole sporting concept for all the females in the country. It can be, I changed sport for one kid.
Exactly. I spoke to one of the girls I used to coach years and years ago, and I just had sent her a message to say, hey, you look like you're doing really well. Like, I'm happy to see that you're healthy and you're happy and all of these things. And she responded and said, I hope you take some credit for that, Sarah. was her response. And that for me is so powerful, because that's one person in this entire sport that I have impacted their life.
Yeah.
Instead of like having 700,000 people that I'm trying to change their lives, I can change one person's life at a time. Mm-hmm. And if there's 5 of me, that's going to be 5 different people that are changing their lives. And if I can change 10 people's lives, then that's 50 people. Like
it filters down.
Yeah, exactly. So all together we can create change, and it doesn't need to be big. It's just a little thing. And if everyone does a little thing, it all adds up.
Oh, I love that. That's going to make me cry.
Oh, don't cry.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, that's exactly why I love sport, because it does put you in that position that you can make a change to one person. And I know the reason why I fell in love with swimming in the first place, because it was a safe space and I could, grow as a person. But then I was like, you know what, that's why I want to coach. And then that's why I, do my job now as a swim school manager. And then I had a parent say to me just before Christmas, like, Fiona, my daughter said this to me, and I hadn't told her why I do what I do. And she's like, this has become her happy place. And I remember crying, like I fell to pieces. And I was like, I've changed this little girl's life. Like one of my coaches changed mine.
Yeah. And that stays with them for life as well. Like this isn't something that like it's a stranger walking past you in the street, you forget about it pretty much instantly. This is something they're going to be telling their children about. Yeah. And this is something that they're going to be like, well, no, my coach Fiona said that you should do this.
Yeah, but like I'm almost 26, and so I look back at the coach that really impacted me. He stopped coaching me before I was even 17. Like I look back now and I still go, what would he do? What would he expect me to do that he, that he trained me to know better than this or to do better?
Yeah, exactly. Those really powerful people stay with you for life.
Yeah, and I think it's special that, as coaches or as people involved in sport, we can be that person for someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to decide if you have a positive or a negative reaction on a person. It's something where we get to decide as soon as we walk into that gym, like we might have had a really bad day, but it's not that kid's fault. Those kids don't need to deal with all of your crap as well.
And it's their best hour of their week. So let's make it their best hour.
And we are probably the only grown-up in their life that isn't bossing them around and making them feel like they have to clean their room, or they have to do their homework, or they didn't get good scores on this test, or whatever it might be. We're the only grown-up in their life that is a fun person for them. So take advantage of that. Have fun with them. Like they're going to love that for the rest of their life.
Yeah. And they'll open up and accept more, I think, from that. If you create that, I call it like the big sister vibe, or like the cool cousin vibe. Like if you create that space, like I've had kids tell me things like, I got a detention because I didn't listen today at school. And I'm like, oh, does your parent know? And they're like, no, I'm telling you. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't great. What can we do? And like they ask for advice for something that's not within.
Yeah. And they feel comfortable enough to come to you. And look, like, I hope that it never, like any coach is ever in this situation, but when they are in a position where they need help from a grown up, they're going to come to you. Yeah. And they're going to say, this has happened to me. Can you please help me? Or they're in a position now to trust you and know that you are, like with any of the child safety courses and things that we've done, they have like a safe grown up, they call it, safe person that you can go to say, I feel uncomfortable. And if you are that person for them, then that is really powerful, because you now have gone from impacting their small life to impacting forever. Yeah. And impacting their safety and their health and whatever it might be. And I hope that no one is ever in that position, but knowing that you are a person, a safe person for them, it protects not only you, but them. Yeah. And they're in a position now to like be comfortable to come to you and be like, I don't feel safe. And it like, sorry that it went to the sad place.
No, but it's it's so true. And again, it's like so important because you might not go to your parents and you might not go to your school teacher, but you
Exactly.
maybe would go to your sports coach.
Exactly. With someone that you feel comfortable enough to be around,
Mm-hmm.
it changes everything for you.
Yeah.
It really, it's a powerful thing to have.
Yeah, definitely. And in saying that, like, I'm very, very excited to see, what the next 12 months and the future has for you. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom. It's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was it was a bit funny when Rach said, "Oh, my sister has a podcast. You want to go on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right."
And here we are, and we think like almost the same.
Yeah.
She did well. Good matchmaking, Rach.
Yeah, good job, Rach.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Sport with Fiona Stewart. This is a completely independent podcast that has been created to share the journey and lessons of top-level sporting professionals, but also your everyday lover of sport. If you liked this podcast, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a review and share it with someone who you think would also enjoy it. Until next time.